Welcome, everybody, to Creating Cards with Debbie. I want to thank you for being here today. Be sure when you come on that you comment, say hello, and where you're watching us from. It's fun to see where everybody is. I'm just going to give a moment for everybody to get here. I might have came on a moment early. I've got a little bit set up different today, so I'm hoping that it works out okay with my the view of my desk and everything. So let me know if you can see me and if you can hear me. And as you'll see, there's a icon on the screen that says like and subscribe. That's for if you're watching me on YouTube. You can click that subscribe button and you'll be notified when I go live. And also, if you click the like button, also it gives me more viewers. I'd appreciate that. And also, if you're watching on Facebook, then you can be sure that you click like and share, and that helps me out too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our introduction. Like I said, I'm creating cards with Debbie, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I'm located in Bismarck, Arkansas, and my name is Debbie Foster, if I didn't say that already. And I'm located in the United States. So if you don't have a demonstrator that you're working with, I'd be happy to be that person. And you can shop any products that I'm showing today or any that you might be in need of. All right, let me go ahead and bring up some of our housekeeping notes here. Paper Pumpkin for the month of June. You've got until June 10th to sign up for this one. It's called Bikes and Blooms. It says these cheerful cards with standout silver details are made for feel-good moments. It makes 9 cards, 3 each of 3 designs with 9 coordinating envelopes, silver foil and pre-cut paper pieces, silver butterfly embellishments, and linen thread. And the Stampin' Spot that you'll get with this one is going to be the Calypso Coral. And it says metallic butterfly embellishments add pops of shine. So this will be a good one too. It looks really cute with the bicycle. And you've got until June 10th to sign up for this one. But to go along with that, you can also do the add-on dies that were for April, May, and June. And those are called Beautiful Blooms dies. And those are, I believe, $13 to add those onto your Paper Pumpkin kits. But you've got to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber in order to get these. Yes, $13. Its item number is 168665. And you get a lot of dies there with that. So that's a really good deal. All right. And then next we've got a new special going on with Stampin' Up! To get your starter kit. If you got an order that's $99, at least $99, you might want to go ahead and get your starter kit. That doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing, but you can get a discount on all your products that you buy. So for $99, you also get the new In Colors stamp pads all added onto that at no charge. So it is a $70 value just for those stamp pads. So for $99, you're going to choose $125 worth of product, plus you receive the stamp pads to go along with that. So that's a total of $195 worth of products for only $99, and that's free shipping included. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to have you on my team. And who doesn't like to get a discount on their stamping products? That's one way to add on to your stash. All right. And then next we still have the Last Chance products going on. It's available only while supplies last. And what this is products that's no longer going to be in the catalogs or our online exclusives. And they're kind of discounting some of the items just to clear them out. So you might want to check that out. There's some good deals in there. All right. And I think that pretty well covers it. Well, let me see here. I'm missing a flyer here. The product of the month. I'm going to turn my screen down here so you can see me in just a moment. Let me find my paperwork. And we'll switch our cameras around. Well, got to remove this one first. There we go. Okay, the product of the month for May is called Berry Botanical Vellum 12 by 12 paper, specialty designer series paper. And I've got that too today. Let me bring that out. And while I'm taking this out of the wrapper, I'm going to tell you about that. So it's every $75 you spend, you can pick out a product of the month, and you're only allowed one per item. So like this month, you could pick this for $5 after your order is $75. And look how pretty these are. We're going to be using those on the card today. So it's two different ones. They kind of look similar, but they're a little different. These are kind of spaced apart. So you can fussy cut those really easy. And this one is closer together. So we're using that for our card front today. And then also we've got the Peaceful Pine with little dots. That kind of looks like it's snowing in a pine forest or something. And then the fourth one, you get, I believe it's 3 sheets of each. And this is kind of a heavier vellum than what normally is. So it's a little thicker. So very pretty. We're going to be using this today, I think, on our first card. So you want to stay tuned and watch how I use that. And like I said, this is only $5 when your order reaches $75. You can add that onto your order. It says custom designs with polka dots, plaids, and berries. Artful hand-drawn patterns for every project. So they're very pretty. All right. Let me move this out of the way and we'll get started. Today is Thursday, May 21st, 2026. And we're going to be doing 3 cards today. I feel like I forgot to talk about something. I might think of it later. I'm having a senior moment, I guess. So here's our first card. I'm using that brand new vellum. That's our product of the month. And I've got a lot of things cut out already in here, so let me get these out. Okay. So here's my original card, but we're going to change it up a little bit. But I wanted to show this one also. It says, I'm here for you if you need me. And then on the inside, keeping you in my thoughts, holding you in my heart, remembering you in my prayers. Okay. So very pretty. This is that vellum. That to stand up there. All right, we're going to start out using our card base. It's going to be Fresh Freesia. All right. And it's going to measure, let me get myself straightened around here, kind of sitting crooked. It is 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and then it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. We're going to burnish that fold line with our bone folder, and we're going to go portrait orientation. We're going to set that aside, and then next we have I have a basic white that measures 4 1/8 inches. All right, 2 different ones here. Okay, 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, and that's going to be our mat that's going to go onto our card front. But first, we're going to get our other layers going here. So we're just going to set that aside for a moment. And then we've got our vellum. It's that product of the month. And this measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to add our adhesive sheets onto the back of that so we don't have any glue lines. You can get these in a pack of 12. They're 6 by 12. And that way our glue doesn't show through. Sometimes it does. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that to the back of our vellum. And let me see which is the back. There's the back. And I'm going to remove one of these strips. It's got little pull-off tabs here. That stuck to my shirt there. And I'm going to place that down at the top. Press that down. And then I'm going to pull off the other tabs. And the last one here. Smooth that out. And it looks good. Toss those in the trash. And then I'm going to add this to our white layer, leaving a small border going around. And now I can add just my regular adhesive glue to the back of that. Well, my glue is plugged up to start out with here. It's not a good way to start the day. Well, and I have a pin here. I'm going to take my old pokey tool here and see what's going on there. Yeah, it was a little plugged up, I guess. Sometimes it does that. Not real often, but occasionally. Put that lid back on there. I'm going to attach this to our basic white layer. And leave a small edge all around. There. Got a smudge there, something there. And then I have another layer of that same pack. And this measures 1 inch by 4 inches. And I'm also going to put the adhesive sheet behind that. I've got another small tab here. We're going to tear that off. And make sure I've got the right side here. Just going to put that across the middle, the center. And I've got some glue on me. Rub that off. And this one doesn't have a tab, so I'm just going to hopefully get it lifted off of there. And I'm going to put that across the midsection. And then next we've got I already die cut our vellum out already. I'm going to show you which one I used. I'm using the Sweet Words dies. And I used I think it was this one. Make sure. Yes, it was this die. So it's the second to the largest of those. And then I'm going to use another die for a sentiment. I'm going to be using that one. Let me put these back in my container. Oh, and I also I'm going to die cut some leaves. Let me grab these leaves. We've got one single one and we've got two that are bunched up there that are connected. We don't want to lose dies, so careful that we put them back and don't lose them. So this is the die we use to die cut that out with. And this is just going to go right across that center. But I'm not even going to worry about the adhesive. I'm just going to put my glue in the center here. So behind the leaves and flowers, our glue isn't going to show that much. So you can lightly dab some glue in strategic places. And we're going to center that down onto the front of our card. And it gives you time to wiggle it around so we can adjust it. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this to our card front before we go any farther. And put that down onto our card front. We've got kind of a cloudy day here today in Arkansas. We've been getting a little bit of rain, which we really needed, so I'm glad of that. All right, so here we are so far. And then next, we are going to stamp our sentiment onto a scrap of basic white. And I'm going to use one of our new colors, our new stamp pads. This is a Peaceful Pine, and these are the ones that would come with your starter kit when you sign up. And we're going to stamp You're on My Mind and in My Heart. And I don't think I took that one out. Alright. Well, what did I do with it? I don't think I grabbed the right stamp set here. Let me see. Okay. It's going to come from the Friendly Foliage. And let me grab that out real quick here. Give us an acrylic block for that. And we're going to stamp that in the center of our basic white scrap here. Close that up for a little bit. And we're going to bring our cut and emboss machine over here. I'm using my little one, as I call her, Miss Squeaky. And we're going to place our die onto that. And I'm going to use a little piece of washi tape to hold it in place. It doesn't shift on me. I don't want to stamp it all over again. Get that centered. Top plate here. See, she's still squeaking. My husband oiled her, but I guess he didn't do the trick. All right. You're on my mind and in my heart. It's going to go onto our front layer here. And I'm going to die cut some leaves. And I've already colored my vellum with our Peaceful Pine Stampin' Blends to give it a little color. I'm just going to layer these on there, and we're going to die cut those out. And make sure I've got enough room on here. Yes, we do. And I'll put my washi tape there to keep them in place. Top plates. Run that through. Got one leaf there, and the other ones, I'm going to just persuade them to come out. There's one, and there's the other one. And that can go in the trash. All right. So this one's a little bit different than my original, so I'm going to kind of play around with it here and see where I want to position everything. And maybe one at the bottom here. I don't know. Put that up a little bit farther, because I have a bow that's going to go on here too. I've made a bow from the Peaceful Pine bordered ribbon, and then I split it in half down the center, and I made a double bow out of it. So that's going to go onto our layer here. Trying to figure which way would look the best here. I don't know. Maybe across the center here. Maybe I don't want the leaves on there. Put the bow right there. Where do we want it down here? I don't know. I think I'm going to change the sentiment. I'm going to go with the original like this one. So let me grab some cardstock here, and we'll do a switch over here. A switcheroo. Sure, they got a basic white here somewhere. Do the trick. I think that'll work. And grab this other die. Which I'm using the smallest of those, and still have my tape on there yet from before. And I'm going to run that through, and then I'll stamp it. I'm going to go with the original plan here. I don't like the second plan. That happens. And I'll use that same washi tape that was on there. And when it die cuts, it leaves you little bitty hearts that we could use for something later. You may want to keep those. They're tiny and dainty looking. And that was this die. All right, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. It says, "I'm here for you." And I'm going to use our Peaceful Pine ink pad. And let me see if I can get this stamped on here straight. Probably got my head in the camera. Put that up for a moment until we need it again. All right, I'm going to place this up on dimensionals. And you might take your pick tool to grab those off. And it's going to put 2 on the back side. And I'm going to place that kind of mid-center towards the bottom. And then we can grab our leaves and place them. We're going to go the 2 large ones out there, and the smaller one we'll put down at this bottom corner. And then our bow is going to go up here. So let me go ahead and grab my adhesive and we'll start sticking just a little dot. I'm just putting it at the bottom. That way it goes up underneath the label there, so it's not going to show the glue. And I'm going to grab that to press that down. And on the little one, we'll do the same. Oops, a little too much glue on that one. Let's take some of that off. And we'll give that a little press. And we're going to grab our mini glue dots. And I like to use the small ones that come from the paper pumpkin kits. They come on a sheet and they're a little bit smaller than a regular mini glue dots are. Being this is a small bow, I want to make sure it's not going to show through. So I'm going to kind of put that at an angle. And you can maneuver your tails of your ribbon a little bit to make them lay where you want them to lay. And then next we have our rhinestones, basic rhinestones. I'm going to use my take your pick tool to grab those off with. And I'm going to go in groups of 3. And looks like all I've got is my small one, so that's we're going to go with those. I did a medium and 2 small on the other one, but I've used all the larger ones. And maybe right about there. Okay, so there's the front side of our card. I'm here for you if you need me. That's a good card for a friend that's going through hard times or something. All right, then inside we've got our basic weight, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to stamp our sentiment that comes from Prayers and Promises. And I am using this one here, keeping you in my thoughts, holding you in my heart, remembering you in my prayers. So we'll use the Peaceful Pines stamp pad again. Pick that up. I'm going to stamp that centered towards the top portion. And close our stamp pad up. Of course, I stuck my finger in it. And I'll add this to the inside of our card. Okay. All right, here's the front. Very pretty. And on the inside, our sentiment. Okay, so that's our first card. And let me straighten up here a little bit and we'll get on to our second one. I'm going to move my stamps out of the way so I don't stick my fingers in them. All right, then next we have we're going to be getting a fun fold. And this is called I think it's a hidden slider card. I got the idea from, who did I get that from? TL's Bright Spot. All right. And again, I'm using that vellum and I'm using the checkered. I've already die cut those out. Let me get my stamp set over here. Well, we'll show the card first. It says hello friend, and then it opens and that slides out and then it slides back in. So it looks complicated, but it's not. All right, hello friend, happy birthday. And you could also put another card on the back side if you want more space to write a message or anything. And I'm using the Lovely Arrangements bundle with the dies. And also that same vellum that we used, the product of the month. And I think that's all I used for extras on this one. All right. We're going to start out with our card base, which is Berry Burst. It measures 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to do some scoring. We'll bring our paper trimmer out here, and we'll keep the cutting blade up at the top. We don't want to use that. We want to use the score blade. So we're going to score it first at 2 3/4 inches. So 2 3/4. Give that a good burnish. Hi, Aletta. Glad you're here. You can go back and catch the replay after we're done to see what you might have missed. And then we're going to do the next score line at 6 3/4 inches. I'm just starting the second card right now. 6 3/4 inches, burnish that. And then we have another sheet of Berry Burst, and that measures Here. Okay, this one is 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. 3 3/4 inches and 4 1/4 inches. And we're going to score it at a 1/2 inch on the long side. So let's bring our score up to there again. Don't use the cutting blade. 1/2 inch. Okay, so it's going to look like this. All right, let's put the paper trimmer away. All right, so I'm going to burnish those fold lines. And this one goes to the inside. Okay, so it's going to go like this. Small flap first, and then that's going to be the inside, and then the outside is the larger one. And then we're going to burnish this 1/2 inch fold line, score line. And that's going to be our mechanism on the inside. So we're going to set that aside for now. We're going to start decorating. All right. And I used that same vellum. That's a product of the month. And I die cut that using this die here. And then we're going to stamp some flowers. Well, let's do our layers first, so I don't get myself confused. All right, our first layer is going to go onto this front, and I've got bubble bath, which measures 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And then our designer series paper comes from the Floral Charm, and we're using this pattern right here. And that measures, what is it? All right, just a moment. I got my instructions here. The left DSP panel is 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So they'll layer on each other, and we'll attach those to our front flap. So let's go ahead and do that. And turn that and place that down. I can see it a little bit better on that white paper. And this will go on top of that. Leaving a small border going around. So that's our front flap. And then the other side, we've got that same pattern. So we've got the bubble bath, and this is 1 inch. All right, I'm going to grab my ruler. This is 1 5/8 by 5 1/4 inches. And then our designer series paper is 1 1/2 by 5 1/8. So I'm going to attach that to our bubble bath. layer. And leaving a small edge all around it. And this is going to go onto that smaller flap. And I'm going to open that too and get a good shot of it. And see if they match up with you. Looks good. Okay, so there's our two flaps are covered already. And then on the inside, I've got this designer series paper that's in that same package. And this is the very burst color. And the other side has pretty flowers on it. But this measures 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And that's going to go into our center. We're going to attach that. I think my bottle of glue is getting down towards the end, so it's being temperamental today. And we'll place that centered in the center. And give that a good press. All right, now these, for the back flap, we're going to attach that down. So I'm going to put some tear and tape along those, the top and the bottom. I have my tear and tape here. There it is. I'm going to bring my silicone mat over here to keep from getting sticky on my work surface. So just a little strip at each end will hold that together. Put it just as close as you can to the edge. And on that bottom section, you don't need to go all the way across. Take those backings off. And then we're just going to flip this over. Give that a press. Give that a press. Got a little glue right there. We're going to get our glue eraser and get rid of that. Okay, so that gives you a little pocket there. All right, and then next we're going to add our mechanism here, and I'm looking at it to make sure I got it going the right direction. We're going to take that little score there, and we're going to place it up against this other score line on our front flap. I don't know if it's see very good. See, we want to place it right there. So we're going to put our adhesive tear and tape onto this layer, the back side of it. And I probably got a little extra here we're going to have to trim off, but that's okay. Better too much than not enough. And we'll take that backing off. And we're just going to push that excess back over on itself. All right, I'll bring this back over again, and we're going to match up, center that, and press that down. I don't know if you can see it on camera very well. Not really. But you want it right up against that score line, not quite touching it. All right, and then we've got a basic white, which measures 3 inches by 4 inches. And we're going to stamp our sentiment on that. And we're going to say happy birthday. And I'm just going to use my black Memento ink pad. Happy birthday. We're going to stamp that upper left-hand corner. And that's pretty crooked. Let's turn it over. Good thing we got two sides to every paper. And let's try this again. Well, it's still kind of crooked too. Do I have an extra sheet here? No, I don't. Let me cut one real quick. Paper trimmer. So that was 3 by 4. This is real live stamping. All right. And I'll also cut this one down too, just in case we need it. All right, let's try this again. Maybe I need to scooch it towards me more so I can see exactly where I'm stamping. Happy birthday. I think it's because my stamp is on there crooked. We're going to go with that. And close that up. And I'm going to use bubble bath to stamp our flowers with. And I want the small one for the inside, so I'm going to try it out on here, see if it's dark enough. No, I'm going to switch it to the blackberry or the berry burst instead. I want them a little bit darker. I'm going to stamp one large one and two of the smaller ones. Let me bring this over here to clean my stamp off. And where did I just put it? There it is. I'm going to put the bubble bath away. You don't want that one. And berry burst, small flower at the bottom corner of our inside layer. And another one there. All right. So let's go ahead and attach our inside layer and get that done with. So this is going to go onto this flap with a small border going around it. And then you're going to just flip this inside of that layer. And I wasn't quite stuck to that yet, so let's give it another moment. And then we've got our sliding mechanism. Okay, so let's do the outside, get that done. I have got that layer of our vellum that I already die cut using our die, and that's going to go over the center. I'm going to just put our glue on the center of our vellum. It's going to be covered by the flowers and such, so it won't show. And center that on top of our designer series paper. And then we're going to die cut these. I've got the dies somewhere here. I want the flower. Oh, and I need to do the leaves too. I'll bring our little machine back over here. Parts. And get some washi tape here. Well, if I find the edge of it. Here we are. I'm going to put that on my clothes to get rid of some of the stickiness off of it. Tear off some strips here. And a large flower. And find where it sits at. There it is. And I'm not done with that. I need to stamp a leaf yet. We'll take those off. And our leaf is going to be stamped with the Mossy Meadow. And it's a lot of ink on that. I'm not sure that's going to turn out right. I re-inked my pad the other day. I rinsed it out because it was kind of bubbling up and getting weird looking. So then I ran it until it was clear, and then I re-inked the pad, but I think I got too much ink on it. So, but once it dries, I think it'll look fine. If I don't smear it here. Let me grab one of these off of there to hold it. Right there. Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back over. How are we doing with time today? I think we're doing okay. My next card is going to be a little complicated too, so I'm hoping that you're able to stay with me. If not, catch me on the replay. Catch up with what you missed. All right, now we're going to attach our flowers. And put my dies over here so I don't lose them. I'm going to use my dimensionals. Where did I put them? Well, I just had them. All right, hiding under my stamp pads here. I'm going to place one up on dimensionals, and the other is going to be glued down directly. So I'm going to pop up the large one. And I think I'm just going to put one in the middle. That should do it. And layer these down, see where we want to put them. And our leaf is going to go off this edge, sticking off a little bit. So, some glue on the back side of our small flower. And take that backing off. Attach our larger flower. And I think maybe right there. And we'll just tuck our leaf up underneath that. I'll just add a little glue to the bottom portion. And slip her in there. All right, and then next we're going to stamp our sentiment. We've got a strip of our basic white that's a 1/2 inch by whatever, it doesn't matter how long it is. We're going to stamp that and then snip it apart. And I'm going to use the Berry Bird stamp pad. It says Hello Friend. And this comes from that same stamp set, Hello Friend. This is one of our old stamp pads, but it still works, so I haven't replaced it yet with the new ones. And we'll stamp that. And then we're going to cut these apart. Hello Friend. And we're going to separate them. And I'm going to shorten the white part on there. Hello. And Friend. And these are going to get glued directly down, so I don't use dimensionals on the back of those. So, hello and Friend. We'll start with a hello. I can pick it up here. And I'm going to place that just below that large flower. Hello, Friend. Don't put it upside down. And it's going to go in the bottom corner. And I didn't add any other gems to it. I kind of left it as is, but I am going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella to our flowers. And it kind of makes the ink bleed a little bit, so it gives it a little color. I'm just going to go along with the lines and the center just to draw some of that ink off of those. Give it a little shading. And the same with this one. Even after all this time of it sitting, drying, it still releases a little bit of the color. And all right, there's our hidden slider card. Hello, Friend. And then it opens and happy birthday. I think I'll put some Wink of Stella on the inside also. Do the same as the outside was. And this is dried a little bit more, so it's not running as much. But it's still doing its job here. Okay. Hello, Friend. Happy birthday. Nice little surprise on the inside. So that's card number 2. And let me straighten up here a little bit and we'll go on to our next card. This is called, what is it called? Not sure exactly what it's called. I want to say Eclipse, but it's not. It's, do I have the name of it? No, I don't. It's like an eclipse, but it's a little bit different. You've got, like every other one is raised. I cut these in strips. So today is your day. Have a great birthday. All right, let me all the bits and pieces here, and then we'll get into the description. Catching my breath here. I'm going to be using the Relaxing Water Side bundle, the stamps and the dies, and then also the party banners. And also I am using the Waterside Designer Series paper. Let me pack here, it shows it better. I've kind of cut up my other. I'm using the scenery strips that they've got already. You just cut these apart. So I'm using this one with the dock, the boat and the dock. I don't know if you can see it really good. So that well, I can see it better here. I already cut that apart, and we're going to be cutting that down to size. I'm not even going to give the measurements on this yet. Let's start with our card base here. I'm kind of jumping the gun here. I'm using Pool Party as our card base. And it originally measured 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. And I scored it in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. And then I cut it with our banner, party banner dies. And we get a lot in here. There's 20 dies with this. I'm trying to see which one I used. Okay, I used the number 5 die, well, the 5th from the largest. And when you're die cutting it, fold that and burnish your fold line, but don't put it all the way down to your cardstock. Kind of keep a little gap at the top so it doesn't cut there. And that'll give you your card base. So that was number 5 die from the largest. And then next we have our wood grain paper that's in that same pack. It has the stuff on the back side. And I die cut this using the number 6 die, which is the next down, next dies down. So I die cut that, and that's going to be our layer that goes across here. And then next we have, this is our Designer Series paper, our Scene of the Dock. And this one I use the number 8 die. I think it's this one. No, next one. I've got these in a mess. I should have known it's got the washi tape on it yet. Yep. This is the number 8 die. And we're going to die cut this side of there. So I'm going to position that where I want it to be. I don't really want the boat showing. I want more of the dock and the grass and the little trees up here. So I'm going to press that down onto that. And I don't think this will fit through my small machine, so I'm going to go ahead and stand up and use my larger machine. And I will be right back. So let me put that down there so it holds it in place. And a over here and I put this. All right, didn't take long. Move these out of the way. Okay, so I've got that die cut. And I've got a pretty good size of paper there yet to use on something else. All right, so here we are. And now we're going to bring our paper trimmer and we're going to cut these in 1/2-inch strips. And we want to keep them in order so they match up with each other. So I'm going to use the right side measure tape and 1/2 inch. Put that aside. 1/2 inch. Half inch. If anybody knows the name of this card, let me know in the comments. I've seen different demonstrators use it before, but I don't remember what they called it. Okay, and 1/2 inch. And can we get another 1/2 inch out of here? I think I'm going to leave that one as is. We'll have one side wider, but that's okay. It's going to be underneath. And I've cut another pool party using that same size die so I can mat these all on top of. So it's easier to lay them down that way. And this one I'm going to glue directly down. And I'm going to alternate some up on dimensionals and then the next one glued down. So, and I think I need to bring my silicone mat over here to do this with it. And get this one stuck down. And I'm just matching it up with the bottom layer. And bring our silicone mat over here. Okay, Aletta, that's fine. You can watch the replay later and catch what you missed. Okay, and this one's going to be raised up on dimensionals. So I'm going to bring those over here. And I think I'm going to split these in half. We don't really need a full size. So let me just split those down the middle. And place one there. And maybe put down 4 just to hold it up so it doesn't sink in the middle too much. And we'll take those backings off. And I'm going to turn this sideways so I can see. I'm going to butt that right up against that first one. And then the next one's going to be glued down. And dimensionals again. You can use any kind of paper for this. Anything that's scenic or even just flowers or something would work. Anything that's pretty. this one down on top of that one. And just switch that one just a tiny bit. And I'm glued down. And the next one goes up on dimensionals again. So every other one goes on dimensionals. And our final one. All right, so you can see the dimension there. And now we're going to take our linen thread and we're going to wrap a couple times across the top section. And I'm going to use some tear and tape to hold that down with. Need 2 strips here, one on each side, just to catch that on the back side and hold it in place. So we'll stick that one down and run it around twice. Well, let's do 3 times. Why not? And what I did with my snips, there we are. And question is, do I have it straight? Scooch that side up just a little bit. Now we're going to attach that to our card. So let's start layering these. We've got our card base. We've got our designer series paper with the wood grain. And a small border going around. And then this one next. We're not going to put that up on dimensionals because we've got enough layers the way it is with our popped up layers. And we'll center that. But there's more. We're not done yet. And we are going to stamp our sentiment, which says, "Today is your day." And today is your day. I'm going to use I think I'll just use our black memento ink. I might have used pecan pie on the original, but I don't have that sitting out here, so we're just going to use the black memento. Today is your day. And then on the inside, let me do that while we're stamping. Have a great birthday. And this is that same size as that front panel, the wood grain is, which was the number 6 die. And we're going to stamp our sentiment. Have a great birthday. I think I need to get back up again, missing a stamp. Have a great birthday. And I need to grab my gray granite stamp pad. And we're going to stamp a seagull. Just use this scrap here. That was probably gray granite that I stamped my sentiment with. It was. Oh well, I've already got it done now. Cover the stamp pad so I don't have an accident here. And I'm going to snip this out. And snip it closer to the A. I think I can trim it down a little bit. I could have had a smaller piece of cardstock. So let's trim this down to size. All right, and it's going to go right up here. So I need to put a dimensional at one end and then glue it at the other. So I'm going to take one of these partial ones again and put at this side and a little glue the other side. Maybe. Come on, glue bottle. Get us through today. Okay. All right, it's going to sit right across here. So glue on the raised side and the dimensional at the left side. And then we need to bring our cut and emboss machine back over here. We're going to die cut that little seagull out of there. And I don't need all this excess paper, so lights over here. And there's a die for our seagull in here. So we don't have to fussy cut them. And it's right here. And then grab our washi tape to hold them in place here after we get them all situated. Top plates. And there's our little seagull. And we're not going to place them on dimensional either. We're going to attach them right to one of these other raised layers. So put just a tiny bit of glue in the center of his body. And he's flying in the air, looking for a place to land. Okay, today is your day. And then on the inside, we've got have a great birthday. So we're going to attach that. hard to believe today's Thursday already. Time really goes fast anymore. All right, so here's our finished card. Today is your day. Have a great birthday. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our cards today. And let me get those all set out here so you can have a good view of what we did. And this one. Okay, so tell me which one is your favorite. I don't know. I'm partial to all three. It's hard to decide on just one. So that's our cards for today. Be sure you like and share the video. And I will see you next week. Same time, same channels. On Thursday, May 28th. It's the last week of the month already. Wow. So thank you for being here. Tell your friends about me, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.